Hello everybody! Today I'm going to talk about my 2021 goals. Kind of late, we're already 2 months into the year, but I decided it would be healthiest to defer doing this until after I took my break because previously I was not in the right headspace to decide what would be fun and challenging for myself. So now I can, and I have 4 goals to share with you that I want to achieve this year. First up, I want to roll a bunch of previous goals into a single one, and that is to track the books that I acquire and read them in a timely fashion. So in previous years, I've had multiple goals to track what I buy, make sure that I'm reading a certain percentage of my acquisitions each year, and to stay within like a book buying budget. And I'm just rolling all of those into one goal, which is basically track and report back on the actual numbers and whether I'm happy with them or not. The point of this is to make sure that my spending on books doesn't balloon once again, and that I'm not acquiring books faster than I can read them, because I really don't want for my TBR to get really massive again. So this one, pretty self-explanatory. I've done this in previous years, and it's gonna be relatively simple to do. Goal number 2 is relatively open-ended. This one is just to make progress on my 2 current reading projects. One of those is reading the SF Masterworks, which will take me a number of years, and the second is to read the winners of the Otherwise Award, which should take me about 3 years, and this is year 2. So for this particular goal, I just want to do probably a project update video where I set my annual TBRs for both of these projects and just sort of talk about the status of them more. The point is not to finish either of them in a big rush, it's just to make more progress rather than like taking a skip year, which is something I have done accidentally on projects before. Goal number 3 has a really lengthy explanation, but basically the goal is to make a new reread list. It turns out that I have already reread the like 70, 80 nostalgic childhood favorites that I put on a reread list about 7 years ago. And since I'm almost done with that list, I thought it would be cool to go through like my book collection and pick out all the books that I loved that I read for the first time as an adult, like in my 20s, and reread them now. Instead of focusing on, books that I read 15, 20 years ago, why not reread newer favorites? So I've actually started making this list. It is not a project per se, it's just maybe getting started on rereading some of the newer favorites. So we'll see how this one goes. I'm not really sure if it is a good annual goal or not, but I've been kicking this around in my head for a while now, and I wanted to attempt doing something with it. And the 4th and final goal for this year is to continue diversifying my reading. I want 40% of the books that I read this year to be by authors of color. Last year, only about a quarter of the books that I read were by authors of color, and I'm not entirely sure what number to set for myself this year. I'm saying 40% because that would be a noticeable improvement over the previous year, but something inside of me is saying, oh no, that should really be 50 or 60%. However, trying to like really shift your reading habits does not happen overnight, so I think it's probably good to set the bar at about 40%, see what happens by the midpoint of the year, and then adjust based on that. Gradual improvement is the idea. So those are my 4 goals for 2021, and you may notice that some of these just aren't, like, I'm not putting numbers on them. I'm not setting like hard goals, like I must reach this number for that goal and this number for that goal. And I thought this would be a good idea as kind of a return to more guidelines for my reading, things to shape my reading rather than something that will put a lot of pressure on me to hit that specific number, because I tend to achieve my goals most of the time, especially when they have numbers, but that's often at the cost of really stressing myself out, which I do not want to do. We'll see how this goes. Let me know what you think of these goals, and I will probably have an update, my first quarterly update, very soon because this is so late in the year. But of course, I've already been tracking things and have data to share. So until then, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later. And until then, bye.